we please talk about UFC Apex 5, I want to call it. It's like UFC Vegas at the Apex Center. Anyway, my bets are back on their terrible form. Basically, I mean, again, just if you haven't seen the fights yet, do not watch from this point, because I'm about to spoil the shit out of them, alright? Because all of my bets were terrible. Just like, true to form. In fact, everything went almost the opposite way that I had predicted. I stand by my previous prediction because I only had the information, to hand at the time. But I mean, let's start with Green versus Veneta. Bobby Green, I have maintained that I like Bobby Green. I think he's an excellent fighter and he's a fun fighter. He's a confidence fighter. He looked confident in that fight. He looked confident. He was talking a lot of shit the whole way through. It was fun. His boxing looked crisp. Like he just looked very smooth and very elusive. But he did get caught quite a few times because he was always gunning. Because I mentioned with his shoulder rolling, it doesn't work as well in MMA as it does in boxing. But you know what? His head movement was a lot better than the last time he fought Veneta. His head movement was way better. He was making him miss a whole lot more and punishing him for it. Green looked like a different fighter. Veneta looked like the same fighter. So that was the key there. That's why it went the way that it did. Really solid performance from Bobby Green. He made all the correct adjustments from the first time they fought, and he looked better in every single round. He did. He looked really, really good. He looked strong. He looked sharp. He looked fast. I look forward to seeing him again soon because he's a fun fighter to watch. And again, both of these guys delivered. Both of them put on a hell of a performance. I haven't looked at who got fight of the night yet, but I would imagine that it's going to be those two because it was a good, fun fight. It really was. It was nice. Luque versus Brown. Again, I thought Brown was likely to get the better of Luque in this one because I just thought that he was the longer, rangier fighter, and I thought he was probably had a slight edge on the ground. But as long as he fought long. And if I'm honest, what I should have done, I should have taken into account, obviously, this is in smaller octagon, isn't it? And that it allows fighters to close the distance far easier, which is kryptonite for longer fighters like Brown. I'm not saying that's why he lost. A big reason of why he lost was because he, like Vicente Luque, went in there with a really fantastic game plan. He just kicked his calf out from under him. On his lead leg, that was important. It was on his lead leg, his left leg, I believe, and it meant that Brown, once that leg was really compromised by the second round, really compromised, and by that point, Brown was then having to just basically put all of his weight onto his rear leg, and you can't get any power into your shots, especially your jab, when you're leaning backwards like that. You just can't do it. It's why it was a flawless strategy from Luque. He went to the leg, took away Brown's movement and his ability to stay long by removing the jab from the equation, and he went in there and did the rest, got himself a nice TKO victory there, and fair play to him. He did really well. I thought that Brown, I thought the bookies were wrong on that one. The bookies are very rarely wrong. I'm usually wrong, and they were bang on this one. In fact, the bookies were correct the whole way down the card, with the exception of one fight, which was the main event, Shahbazyan versus Brunson. I've got to say, I was kind of sucked in by the hype of Shahbazyan. I'm not saying he's not going to go places, because he is, but I mean, I kind of, again, it was, the problem is, when you saw Brunson look like a deer in headlights against Adesanya when they fought, it's hard to then see him looking as good as he did last night. And I think he did a good job in kind of removing those kind of images from a lot of people's minds. He certainly did it from mine. And for my part, I was bang wrong on that one. I thought about putting a fiver on Brunson by knockout because he was 6-1 against. And those odds, I mean, Brunson he's got good power and he can knock people out. And we knew that going in. I did consider putting a fiver on, but I didn't. I got sucked in by the hype train, and I just didn't think that. In my mind, I just thought that Shahbazyan was probably a taller, better striker, And the last time we saw Brunson go against a taller, better striker in Adesanya, he looked like he was out of his depth. And I thought that we were possibly going to see that again. But you know what? Credit where credit is due. Brunson looked outstanding. He looked outstanding because he kept it nice and defensive in the first round. And he just stopped Shahbazyan from being able to get anything too effective done in that round at all. And you could see Shahbazyan, he looked so tired going into that second round. He's got a lot of first round knockouts, but in that second round, he looked really tired. And Brunson, he just kept on initiating the grappling, like shooting him for a takedown, half-hearted, not really going for it, but then on the break, hitting him with some really heavy shots. And it was brilliant. It was a superb mix of wrestling and boxing and dirty boxing. And it was a fantastic performance, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Brunson does next. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Shahbazyan bounces back, but more importantly, let's focus on the winner here, because he looked outstanding. Shahbazyan's a dangerous fighter, and you know what? That is a hell of a win. Even though he's a young guy coming up, like the bookies had him as a big favourite, Shahbazyan. So the fact that Brunson was able to stop that hype train, and he won it so convincingly, that's huge for Derek Brunson. It gives him a real nudge up in that division. I'm looking forward to seeing who he takes on next. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people at middleweight. You could put him against. Maybe what's the Italian dude's name? Oh, I forget. Vettori, Marvin Vettori. Yeah, stick him against Marvin Vettori. That'd be a terrific fight. Tell you what. I mean, the matchmakers will never watch this video, but that would be a fun fight. Marvin Vettori against Derek Brunson. If they could put that together, I don't think Derek Brunson took too much in the way of injuries, and Marvin Vettori's about a month or so removed from his last fight. So yeah, that should be a fun one. But yeah, no, bet grade was terrible. All of my bets were terrible on that one, as they usually are. But it's fun just to keep those odds long. Because it's fun. I never put too much on these bets because it's like my mate always tells me, I'm one good win away from having a real problem, because I keep my stakes extremely low because I know these bets are it's very unlikely they're going to come off. And and this was no exception. Next week got a really good card actually. The main event is Lewis against Oloniak. I'm intrigued to see what the betting lines are on that one, because that's a hell of an interesting fight. But until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible. I'll see you later.